What's going on, guys? My name is Johnny Bannon, and I will be your CCNA instructor for this CCNA video series. And in this video, we're going to go over our SNMP lab, which is going to go over version 3 and 2. I'm going to go over with you the SNMP server that we're using. So let's just go ahead and take a look at our environment here. So what we have is just very simple, right? Very simple network environment because we don't need to get too crazy with SNMP. If you know how to configure one for management, you can configure 10, right? As far as the iOS goes. So we have a switch here, router here. They're going to get managed from the same SNMP server that I have running called PRTG, and that's running on my local computer. This EVNG lab is running on E6i host, but they all fall under the same subnet, so we all have IP reachability. They're connected to this net management cloud, which allows connectivity out to my home Wi-Fi, right? So EVNG just comes with this. If you have a bridge network, you're in promiscuous mode, you'll allow access to this network into your EVNG environment. So let me go over my SNMP server. And before I do that, again, guys, my typical spiel for our labs, for our paid viewers, this lab environment's gonna be available to you, but the SNMP server isn't because it's not really my software to hand out. I mean, I could put the install in the Google Drive, but it's free for you on a Google search. So installing the PRTG SNMP server will be an objective outside of this lab that you'll have to do yourself. Eventually I'll make a video on the installation, but it really was pretty simple. I'll kind of go through with it with you right now. All I did was type in PRTG network monitor, download. It takes you to their site. You come here to free download, and it literally just starts downloading for you with your evaluation license key. And you just install like any other Windows installer. And then it launches, and it's going to go based off your local host IP, and then you're here. You know, that's it. And it takes you through a tutorial, and you're ready to go and get ready and rock and roll with SNMP. So it was really simple, and that's why I chose it for this lab environment. So now let's get back to EVNG. So right now we're going to go over and configure the iOS in both of these, and then I'll go back into PRTG and show you how I added the device. But that step isn't really important. What's important is for you to understand the iOS. I just want to use an SNMP server so you can kind of get the full picture. But this will not be tested on the Cisco exam, how to configure a device for SNMP and PRTG. It's a good example because really any SNMP server is going to function the same way. If you configure SNMP 3 on the Cisco iOS, you're going to need to configure it on the NMS server. And they're all going to take the same parameters: username, password, group, encryption, and hash type. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, turn on all our devices. And then for our paid viewers, these devices are already going to be pre-configured for you. For our non-paid viewers, they are going to be available, or the baseline is going to be available from our public GitLab. And that GitLab link is going to be in the description below if you're watching on like YouTube or any other streaming service. So let me show you that. Our GitLab, again, this link will be posted below. Let me just sign in real quick. All right, and then we have our CCNA video course here. And then this is also going to contain the lab instructions with a network diagram here. So pretty easy, pretty simple. And then we're going to log into our devices and just verify all of our connectivity and our IP addressing. So I think I'm already consoled in. Awesome. So let's go ahead and do this thing. So right now I'm in R1. Let me just bring my face back into view here. I had some comments saying that sometimes it helps break up the boringness of configuration if you can see the instructor's face doing it. I'll try not to make any silly faces. So again, let's just verify what we got going on here. So show IP interface brief. We can see we're configured to be part of the network, my home network, that's coming off that network management cloud in EVNG. And that's all we need to be able to reach our PRTG server, which is sitting at my computer. And my computer does have connectivity to this router here. And now, let me bring my instructions off to the monitor you can't see. Let's go through these lab instructions. So configure R1 to be managed using SNMP version 3 with auth priv as the protection for the SNMP communication. So we need to go through and configure SNMP version 3. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So I'm not going to do the access list as the source IP protection, just because it's an extra step that you don't need for SNMP to work. Okay. What I am going to do is go ahead and start off with the SNMP server view command. So that view command, again, is going to define what is available. It's going to define what can be pulled on our MIB or our OID structure. So we're going to give it a word. Let's say this is SNMP RO. And then we want to give it access to the entire MIB structure. So this is going to be included. So now we're saying anybody that wants to be part of this view group, you're going to be able to pull the entire MIB of this device. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. And now we got to make the SNMP group. So the command is SNMP-group. We're going to give it a name. We'll give it SNMP group just to keep it simple. And then we're going to say what version we're using. So we're configuring version 3. We're going to say we want to give you, let's say, read access, kind of just to match up with this view name. It doesn't have to match, but we just kind of want to keep it simple for us. We're going to give you read access. And then the view name you're going to be a part of is SNMP-RO. So now if someone's a part of this SNMP group, they get access to this SNMP view group, which is the entire MIB structure. And then we're going to be good to go. And then see here, we can also specify a write view for the group. So we could actually make this group a part of a bunch of view groups. Again, we're keeping it simple. Don't want to get too crazy here. And now let's go ahead and configure the user. So we're just going to give this a username. Let's go ahead and give it Bob. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit enter. Simple name. And then Bob is going to belong to the SNMP group that we just created previously. We're going to be using version 3 on this username. I mean, of course, right? We have to. And then we are going to do auth. And we're going to give it SHA protection. And then this is where we actually put our user's password in. So I'm just going to do Cisco 12345. And then this is where we do our encryption. So now we're saying let's encrypt our SNMP packets. And we're going to do AES 128. And then we also got to give this a password. And then that's it, guys. We just configured SNMP version 3 on our Cisco iOS device. Awesome. We did it. We're great. So now let's do some show commands. So show SNMP user. As you can see here, I got my user Bob. We can type in, let's type in do show run section SNMP, just see what we got on here. So we see this group admin that I created prior to this, and then we have this SNMP group that we created for Bob. That's the one he's a part of. And you can see that both these groups are part of the same view group. So pretty cool there. And then we see this view group is saying, hey, y'all can look at anything you want. Anything part of that MIB structure under ISO, which is the entire MIB structure, you can do whatever you want with it. All right. So another show command we have here is do show SNMP group. Okay, and this is going to show us all the groups we created. So we have this SNMP group here. We have admin. And now when we go configure this device to be managed on PRTG, we're going to have to define which group we want to use. Okay, So let me show you how to do that on PRTG. So again, this one I'm just gonna kind of go through quick because, I mean, we really don't have to know about this. So I'm gonna go here to add device. So I'm gonna say this device is gonna be under the network infrastructure. Okay. And then I gotta give this device a name. So we'll just call this R1. The IP address of that device, .168.1.02. And then here, I don't want to just inherit the community strings and the defaults from the credentials already pre-configured on PRTG. So I'm going to unclick this. I'm going to say SNMP version 3. And then this is where we have to fill in that information. So we're using Shaw. Our username was Bob. And make sure I don't leave that space. And then our password was Cisco12345. We used AES, and then our encryption key was Cisco12345. And then we're going to hit OK here. And then we're going to see that device come up. And this is where we start to add our sensors. So we're going to do SNMP traffic. This is going to get our sensors ready. And here's where you can pick all the sensors we want. So we want to maybe get information about gig 00 here. We can go ahead and create that sensor. And then we can do recommended sensors here, which is what I really like. It's going to go through and be like, hey, this is all the sensors that we commonly see for Cisco devices. So it's going to take a while for them to show up. But essentially, once they show up, we can pick any sensor we want. And these sensors can do anything. It could be CPU utilization. It could be ping requests that we're going to ping our SNMP agent every 60 seconds. There's a lot of information we can do. If we come back to our devices here, this device right here called device is actually, this is R1. I did this before our lab started. You can see all my sensors I have here. So this ping sensor can show us a lot of information about the ICMP messages coming from PRTG, our NMS, over to that SNMP agent. So pretty cool. So now let's go ahead and configure SNMP version 2 on our switch. So this is going to be looking at the community strings, right? So let's go ahead and do this. So this switch, I don't think I configured anything. So we'll have to go through and configure IP addressing. So interface gig 02. Or actually, we'll do interface VLAN, IP address 192.168.1.103/24, no shut. Then show IP interface brief. We should be able to ping our default gateway. And we're good to go. Awesome. So now we'll be able to reach the PRTG server. And now let's go through and configure SNMP version 2. So this command is going to start off the same, SNMP server. Then we're going to type in community, and this is going to be the community string. So we're going to do trepa tech, and then we're going to have to give it read only or read write access. So we're going to do RO, and then we can also put in an access list. But before that, we can also do this view command where we say we only want to look at ISO. And then we want read-only access. So we can kind of define the view group in version 2 as well. So here we're saying, hey, this community string, we only want to be able to view the ISO structure in the MIB. So again, everything. And that's it, guys. You just configured SNMP version 2. It's really that simple. And now if we come back to PRTG, we'll go to devices. We'll go to add device. We'll make a device off the network infrastructure here. Click OK. We got to give a device name. We'll just call this one switch. The IP address is 192.168.1.03. Icon doesn't really matter. And then we just got to do this. Change the community string to trepa tech. And we should be good to go. So we'll see the switch come up here in a second. Let's add a few sensors. Let's see SNMP traffic. I mean, again, really simple, and PRTG is really simple to set up. That's what I liked about it, especially for these labs. Yeah, it's just really too easy. So that's really going to be it, guys. I mean, for configuring SNMP. So it wants us to perform a Wireshark capture. We'll do that in just a second. It's taking forever. Let's see. What did we misconfigure here? Let's go back to our devices. Let's look at this switch. We'll go to the settings here. We have that IP address. This should be all we need. Let's see, did we miss a command here? Nope, should be it. SNMP server community, Tech. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this video while I do some troubleshooting, and then I'll come right back, guys, and we'll go over why this may not be working. Okay, so figured out what the issue was, did some troubleshooting, and it actually just has to do with this iOS version. Looking it up, it just has issues with EVE-NG and running SNMP on this switch. That's okay. So in the actual labs that you guys will be able to download, I'll just take that step out because, I mean, you see how simple it is. You just type in SNMP server community and then a string that has to match on both sides. And that's it for SNMP version 2. Even brought up like network lessons over here, a very reputable source other than just the Cisco documentation. And that's it for configuring SNMP version 2. So I know I'm not crazy. But that's okay. So we can still continue on and do our Wireshark captures. And let's just look at what SNMP version 3 looks like coming across the wire. So I'm gonna go back to this router here. I'm gonna do a ping to 8.8.8.8 because I think I have a ping sensor enabled on my SNMP server. So let's go to my Wireshark capture down here. Let's see if we can see any SNMP traffic coming through. There we go. And as you can see here, we have our SNMP version 3. So we have our information here. Let's do it from this GET request. You can kind of see what the SNMP protocol looks like here. I'm trying to find out where like the authentication is in here. Authoritative engine, username. So we're not getting any of that information, but that's okay. We can still kind of see the SNMP information we're getting here. Encrypted PDU. Oh, here we go. So here's the encrypted information. So, okay, yeah, I see it now. So there's the additional GET request from the polling agent, which is essentially the SNMP server, right? And then when we get responses back, like we report we have this OID, and then they do another GET request, essentially saying, yeah, give me that information. Now we have the encryption and the authentication here on that SNMP packet. So someone malicious can't go ahead and join our SNMP architecture now. All right, awesome. So that's gonna be it for us. Sorry we couldn't get that SNMP version 2 working. It's okay though. I mean, it's just an EVE-NG-ism. I did some research about this specific switch iOS that we're using, and it just wasn't gonna work. But at least we went through the steps on how to configure it. It is really easy, really simple. And if you guys have any questions on SNMP, please comment down below. And again, thank you for viewing.